Okay, so my favourite thing on YouTube at the moment is Spider-Man 3 trailer release date videos that don't say when the trailer release date is and just say that the trailer is coming soon. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Tom Holland is going to be in it too. Big scoop there. Anyway, I'm back. Back with a whole host of Spider-Man 2021 updates that will be going over all the new information that we have on the movie. We've got a lot to talk about in this video, and analysing trailer release dates for films in the last 20ish years or so. I think I've come up with a good estimation on when we will actually be getting a first look. We're also going to be discussing Kevin Feige's comments on the casting rumours for the movie, as well as Tobey Maguire's deal being finalised. If this is your first time here, then welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, aka your friendly neighbourhood spoiler man. Now let's get into the breakdown. Okay, so over the weekend, screeners for the first 3 episodes of Wandavision went out to press members lucky enough to get them, and most of these were put out so that sites could prepare to interview Elizabeth Olsen and Kevin Feige. Lots of questions were of course fired at them about the show, but many were picking Feige's brain on the upcoming Spider-Man movie, especially because he's been pretty tight-lipped throughout the pandemic. Now, if you've been following the film, then you'll have seen there's been a lot of reports about characters such as Electro returning, Dr. Octopus, Andrew Garfield, Kirsten Dunst, and a lot more. Is Andrew Garfield a character? Anyway, most of these have been confirmed, but there are still a lot up in the air such as Sandman, the Green Goblin, and more. When discussing this, he gave a very CEO-like answer, but did let us know that at the very least, some will be going ahead. In an interview with comicbook.com, Feige said, "I read some things, I'm not sure I've read all things." Terrible impression. "The fun thing about online speculation when it comes to our stuff is how sometimes it couldn't be more off the mark, and sometimes it's shockingly close. And that's held true for the last few years. But saying which is which would take all the fun out of everything. I'd also like to say that Heavy Spoilers Show is the best show." Well, thanks King Kev. Now that does give a lot of weight to the idea that going ahead, things across the MCU are about to change massively, and when discussing what could be coming down the line, the Marvel Monarch said the following. "The biggest clue is the title of the second Doctor Strange movie. That's the biggest clue of where the multiverse of madness is taking us, and how we're exploring that. It's surreal to me that we're talking about Spider-Man 3. I worked on a movie called Spider-Man 3 many years ago, directed by Sam Raimi if I recall correctly. So this clearly the shorthand of calling it Spider-Man 3. Now, it's fine, we call it Homecoming 3. The guy's pretty much admitting there that they're just scraping the barrel at this point, but as for now, the official title hasn't been released, but I don't think it'll be too long before we get confirmation of what it is. I've heard from several sources that the film will be called Homeworld, but you never know what's true and what isn't, especially in the super duper pooper scooper business. I think it does definitely confirm though that the multiverse will play a big part, and this of course allows for several characters to come across. Now that kind of leads us into our next story, and if you're enjoying the video then make sure you show that you have some spider sense and subscribe to the channel for breakdowns like this each and every day. Anyway, it's very clear that many characters are going to be coming across to the movie, and it has been long rumoured that Tobey Maguire is indeed stepping back into the spectacular Spider-Man shoes for the film. You may remember that before Christmas, it was said that we would actually be getting our first look at the film in a teaser before the end of the year that would show Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire together. There was even a video confirming this posted on the Latin Sony channel, and this was quickly removed, but it did become clear that Sony were putting things in place. However, apparently Bully Maguire was living up to his reputation, and it was reported that the actor was asking for a lot more money than the studio were willing to give. I remember when I used to get bullied into handing money over, and it seemed like Maguire knew he was a key player in things going forward, so it was being very difficult to deal with. However, Daniel RPK has said that the deal has now been finalised, so yay, stop having your heart attack, we can rest now. Now he's a good lad our Danny, and he scoops stuff well in advance, which I think makes this a pretty reliable statement. It's also been posted by the Designer Vagina Women website, which is where I first saw it being reported by another outlet. I was just browsing for lingerie for my wife, yeah, but I promise it's not me. And it just made me so excited to see this finally go ahead, as I think it's the thing that everyone wants to see. I think this will definitely be part of the plan for Marvel, and if he'd asked for any amount of lunch money, they likely would have just handed it over. Maguire is a huge get for the studio, And when I recently did a spoiler stream with Josh over at Den of Nerds, we discussed how Feige actually wanted to sign Raimi for Doctor Strange 2 over Scott Derrickson because he knew the amount of doors that it would open for him and that it would make getting actors like Maguire and Molina that much easier. That's clearly the case, and though the screen time for Tobey isn't meant to be massive, I actually think that he will appear in Doctor Strange 2 in a far more fleshed out role. Sony clearly want to go ahead with more characters as part of the Spider-Verse, and getting Maguire and Garfield back opens up the avenues so that they can do alternate franchises featuring different versions of the webhead. I can actually see the three featuring in this movie, going off to do their own separate things, and then being brought together again down the line for a sort of endgame level event that has them teaming up once more. Now because the deal is signed, we can start looking towards when we will see them united for the first time in a teaser, and as I said earlier, I've crunched the numbers to give us a rough idea of when things will be popping up online. Now between the years of 2000 all the way up to the year 2016, trailers typically tended to air roughly 6 months before the release of a film. This average has of course been massively skewed with all the delays recently, so I thought I'd focus on those years when there was more of a steady lineup of the trailer to release date. So we can expect to see the first full trailer for the film roughly around June/July. However, with this being a big announcement in which they want to show the three off together, I think that we will probably get something before that. Now we already know that the Latin video is ready to drop, and I think that this and translated versions of it will pop up relatively soon once the studio is ready to make the deal official. Now on top of this, I actually think that we'll get a proper full look at the three together come the end of February or maybe the start of March. Crunching the numbers again on first look teasers, these tend to drop around the year to 7 month mark that a property is due to come out. We're already past the year mark, so it's definitely not that, but the 7 month one does line up with the end of Wandavision, which is due to have 9 episodes and run for 8 weeks. If you watched the Disney Investor Day, then you'll know that Kevin Feige said that the show would set up the events of Spider-Man 3 and Doctor Strange 2, so it makes sense to have a tease at the end of it which showcases things going forward. Marvel is of course famous for their post-credit scenes, and it seems unlikely that we'll be getting a Wandavision season 2, so it makes sense to me that the series will end with a tease towards the movie that ties directly into it, aka Spider-Man 3. Yeah. Now we saw how this worked with The Mandalorian, which set up the Boba Fett spin-off, so if I had to put money on it, I would think that the series will end with some sort of tie to Peter Parker, and perhaps even show Tobey and Andrew doing things in their own respective universes. Now obviously I will be covering Wandavision week by week, so we'll find out sooner rather than later if I'm right, but in the meantime I'd love to hear your thoughts on everything that we talked about today. As a thank you for interacting with the video, you'll be entered into a prize draw in which we're giving away 3 copies of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings 4K box sets to our subscribers. All you have to do to be on the chance of winning is like the video, make sure you subscribe with notifications on, and drop a comment below with your thoughts on the news. The links to our socials are in the description, and you can also support the channel by clicking the join button below, and as a thank you, you get videos like this early. If you want something else to watch, then make sure you check out our breakdown of the fan theories and predictions for Wandavision, which will be linked on screen right now. We go over the returning characters, who we think the villain will be, and how Vision is still alive, so definitely check it out after this. With that out of the way, thank you for sitting through this. I've been Paul, and I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.